Hey, doll.
Hey, Rosebud.
How are you?
I am doing better now that I'm sitting here talking with you and not worrying about life.
Yeah.
And welcome to the Do We Have To crew. And guys, thank you so much for taking time today to listen to our wonderful podcast known as Do We Have To, a marriage podcast. I'm your host, Sean.
I'm Emily.
This is a Not Actual Family Studios production. Executive producer, Colin Schmeedy Maskell. And we have a wonderful show today. We actually... pretty interesting topic, I think, today, just based on some feedback that we've been getting in regards to our Do We Have To crew, submitting questions to dowehavето.com. We had several questions that kind of revolved around a theme of in-laws and boundaries and kind of battles is kind of the overall theme of what kind of came out. There's some really general...
it out.
Absolutely. There was really some general questions, but we found that talking about it, doing some research on it will really alleviate a majority of the questions we have. And then we had one specific one that I thought was probably the most extreme case example that we got that we wanted to run over in our wonderful Do We Have To talk about it today. And of course, we're going to have a couple other segments as well. We're going to be finishing up our second round of Let's Get Deep, brought to you by our wonderful show that does not sponsor us, but we enjoy watching, Love is Blind. And we also have a fun Sour Patch Kid moment from a Do We Have To crew member in the United Kingdom. So that's a lot of fun.
I feel like this kiddo is channeling her inner Disney princess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Speaking of the UK, and it's not UK, it's Australia, but I never got a chance to show you that, and we've been talking about it off and on like the last 2 days. I never got a chance to show you that scene in Love on the Spectrum, Australia, that completely signifies our relationship.
Oh.
And I really wanted to show that to you and not talk to you about it on the podcast because every time I think about it, it makes me teary-eyed.
Can't wait to watch it.
It's not a bad thing. I'm not kidding you. So can I just break it down for you real quick before we get too far down the weeds of the show?
Okay.
I've really been wanting to talk to you about this, and it's killing me.
Okay.
If I don't do it, the anxiety in me would just burst out. So you remember the couple, and for the life of me, I can't remember their names, but the couple, the gentleman he wasn't diagnosed with autism, so he was like 21. And if you saw him and his mannerisms and his interactions, you're like, how is that even possible? But he was 21 and he started playing pool like 2 years prior to them filming.
Oh, yeah. They had the sunflower wedding, right?
Yes. Yeah. They end up getting married. They get engaged, they get married. He becomes a professional pool player because he's so mathematically gifted. Math, shout out Uncle Jeff. He understands angles and geometry really well. So he was able to become a professional pool player. And they actually end up going to Las Vegas. He ends up participating in a world pool tournament. That's how good he is. Well, anyway, it's when they first start introducing them and they're sitting there and she's sitting there and she's talking. Well, finally they get him to come over and you can tell he's really uncomfortable with it. And he's looking down and she's like, well, hey, can you look in the camera and say hello? You know? And he's just looking down and he's looking down. And he says, because I'm really struggling and I can't do this. And then she grabbed his hand. I'm doing my best here. She grabbed his hand and she goes, it's okay. We'll do it together.
Oh, like Bluey.
Oh, well, yeah, kind of like Bluey. Yeah. Whew. But like, I don't know why. And that's why I love movies and TV shows. Like normally I wouldn't have thought like that or processed our relationship or thought of it in that kind of way. But then I'm watching a show while I'm banging out some work emails after work hours, and all of a sudden that comes on, and it's like all I could think about was a flooding of you and me. Yeah. I'll show you the scene that I'm talking about.
Remember the day you came downstairs and I was bawling my eyes out while watching Bluey, and it was when they sold their house or didn't sell their house?
Why don't you break the scene down? Because I'm sure there's plenty of people that listen to the show that are also married, parents, single, otherwise, but have seen Bluey.
It's just they were going to sell their house, and
like the house they always had on the show. Okay.
The kids were like raised in and moved to a bigger house, and they had it sold and they were going to move, and then all of a sudden it was like, I can't do this. And the dad was like, are we making a mistake? And she's like, probably, but we'll do it together. And it's just like,
so you get it.
That's us. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, it
is us because we do make a lot of mistakes.
We're going to succeed together, and we're going to fail together, and we're going to make mistakes together, and we're going to hold each other while the other one's going through whatever mistake they've done. And
yeah. And we're going to get better every time,
Yeah.
whether it's a big thing or a little mistake or, yeah, I agree. Anyway, no, sorry. I didn't mean to take us off on a tangent there,
Well, now
but
I'm going to cry.
I know. But it is cool though that, and again, years ago, we wouldn't even had that kind of conversation. So that's why I'm appreciative of this show. And appreciative to all of you that are listening for it and giving Emily and I the opportunity to even talk or discuss these types of things that allow us to cathartically make sure we're always going back to understanding the positives of our relationship. So thank you all for that.
Yeah.
So Sour Patch Kid moments. Well, I guess when we're talking about kids, we're getting ready almost on summer. We are nearing very, very near Easter now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate because the Easter Bunny is dead now in the Miller household with the exception of Maeve.
Right.
That was brutal. So do we have to crew? I forgot to mention, or I forgot to even write down to mention, but now that we're talking about it, it is no longer understood in this house that the Easter Bunny exists, which is
right.
It's I didn't think I would have as hard of a time with that as I have been having.
Yeah. So like the Tooth Fairy died a couple of months ago, except for Maeve.
Yeah. We just got Maeve. We're just holding on by just a string. The kids just seem they seem fine with it, and they.
I think for the two olders, I think one handles it better than the other one, and I think it almost makes one of them feel better about situations. I think she
she wants to debunk this stuff.
She does.
She wants to know what the reality is.
But she needs to know the truth of it, and it kind of alleviates some of the unknown and the anxiety of certain things. And she was very comfortable in knowing. She's like, okay, well then what about this? And then what about this? And it was ooh, where do I draw the line? You have a hard stop.
I have a hard stop at Santa. I will never. I don't care how old I am. I'll go dying. I will never, ever, ever say there's no such thing as a magic of Santa.
To me, you can have the truth, but not lose the magic. And so that's kind of the way that I grew up. I knew the truth behind it, but
Christmas though is different. All those other holidays, they're so to me commercial and consumer driven. Whereas and I know Christmas is too, because I say that because I don't want a million comments about why they created Christmas. I get it, but there's deeper origins to it, I guess. And I guess the way I view it, there's just deeper origins to it overall. You have there's a religious significance to it too, but just Santa and the idea, and maybe it's because my love language is gift giving. So there's just such a deeper meaning than a leprechaun drinking beer or an Easter bunny and the resurrection of Christ. Those things don't really match very well. Right. So anyway, but we're getting through it. And so any parents out there that are going through those times, let us know. Hey, actually go to dowehavето.com. Let us know how they're going. How was finding out different holidays that the kind of marquee character that's associated with it, or at least driven by media, you guys had to end up letting the cat out of the bag, or somebody did it for you, which is typically what we've been running into with fucking school. Bless you. Don't do it. Oh no, you got it. Good job.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just waiting for the feedback in my headphones. I mean, you're fine to sneeze. I was just oh no, it's going to happen. But a lot of it's been feedback from school, and I'm sure that's just the normal way of things.
Which is why I think the hard stop is going to get, we're going to have to face it. We're going to have to tell them the truth, but we have to find a way to allow them to still be a part of the magic and understand that the magic of it changes. Once they know the truth, it changes, and it doesn't make it any less special.
Yeah. So long as they don't try to ruin it for Maeve, So
right.
That's the thing. It's I just feel that's
they get
a lot
to be
of
a
her
part
power
of the
and responsibility.
Magic
And if you get mad at somebody and it's I'm going to fucking fuck your day up. No Easter Bunny. Sorry. You feel good about going to my room when I told you not to now? You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I worry about. But
I'm not so worried about it.
Fair enough. But I will not ever, ever say anything about Santa. So I will never change. I will not.
I'll tell them the truth.
No, you better not.
Somebody's going to have to.
So with talking about our children, and we're going to get away from that pretty quick. We got is it our first international? No, it's not our first international Sour Patch moment. I don't know what I was thinking there, but it is our only dedicated Sour Patch moment today, which I think is wonderful. And it is from who in the UK?
Olivia in the United Kingdom.
You mind reading it out for the wonderful audience to hear?
Yeah. So Olivia sent us her Sour Patch Kid moment, which you can submit to us at www.dowehavето.com or our social medias using the hashtag Sour Patch Kid moment.
We're so 90s. We always have to have that www. It's like now it's like I guarantee most kids are like, dowehavето.com. Like, why are you putting www in front of it? But like, I feel so compelled to do that. And I think it's the 90s kid in me.
I just aged myself.
We all aged ourselves there. Yep. Go right ahead.
Okay. Miss Olivia says, when my daughter started elementary school, she made some new friends and they began their after school house hopping adventures. Every time I swooped in to pick her up, the mother would shower me with compliments about my parenting skills. Sweet, but was I really winning an Oscar here? I was just doing the mom thing, right? Eventually, I mentioned this to one of them. She patted my arm and said, yes, you're doing exactly what her real mother would have wanted you to do. That's when I discovered my daughter had spun a tall tale about a shipwreck, claiming her parents had gone down with the ship while I heroically rescued her. I had to clear the air, but I won't lie, I kind of miss the playground applause. So I want to know.
It's got to be Frozen, right?
Is your daughter Elsa or Anna?
I was going to say, it's got to be Frozen. I know there's the shipwreck. Well, no, the shipwreck from Little Mermaid is associated with.
Well, that's like
Frozen.
Another like hypothetical situation.
Yeah.
But like, which one is your daughter?
But if you go down the rabbit hole of Disney lore,
Feeling like she's got the Elsa vibe to her. She's going to freeze some mother effers.
That is crazy. I think that's awesome. And the fact that people kept complimenting her, but nobody ever actually like said anything about it, I was like, you're doing so great.
Yeah, like how
it's so sad what happened to this family.
Like how did that not ever come up before? Like
because probably somebody doesn't want to broach the subject of her parents dying in a ship accident, and she adopted her and took care of her.
Very healthy of her daughter to be like nonchalant about it. Like, yeah, my parents died in the ocean. This woman came and like, look at what she's doing for me. Like that girl needs an Oscar. Like
she does. That's probably, I tell you what, that's probably the best one so far we've gotten. I would say that's pretty damn good.
I still like.
So I defy
the dying party is close.
The
second,
dying party,
but,
yes, is right up there too from last episode. That's true. It's both of those are freaking solid. So challenge.
I mean, I remember growing up when my sister used to tell people I was adopted. She did that like once or twice, and then that got debunked real fast. But like,
did she package it like this though?
No,
there was like a whole story behind it, and it had Disney lore to it.
There was no background.
So I challenge the Do We Have To crew again. Hey, let's keep trying to one-up game, right? Give us your best Sour Patch Kid moments. We want to hear anything crazy and fun, wonderful, bad, good, whatever it may be. Anything you might find that would be entertaining for folks our Do We Have To crew to listen to. Go to dowehavето.com, submit a Sour Patch Kid moment. Let us know what embarrassment your child threw upon you. And you can also go to our socials.
Know what Olivia, I want to know what your daughter thinks or who she identifies more with, Anna or Elsa. Like, I need to follow.
Yeah. And anytime we post a short of a Sour Patch Kid moment, feel free to respond or comment and hashtag Sour Patch Kid moments or hashtag Sour Patch Kid moments and tag us in a post, and we will grab that and we'll gladly read it on air.
Yeah.
That was a great one.
That one, by far, like.
Yeah.
I can just imagine this little girl.
Well, and that's the thing. So I did forget to mention, so we only brushed it, but there's a ton of like going down the rabbit hole of like overlap, because there is the theory that Disney is trying to create in a very like undercover way a universe piece to, meaning like all the stories actually technically overlap.
Right.
Because kind of signified that with doing the Descendants musicals, but also now you're kind of seeing where there's different movies and they tend to overlap in story arc and or location. And they are saying that the reason why they kind of creatively did this whole shipwreck thing, they were going to try to associate that with the ship that's actually down below that Ariel has all of her
right.
fancy human
and they
ship.
were on their way to Rapunzel's wedding.
Yes.
And then their ship went down and that's the one in Ariel.
Right.
And then Tarzan's parents were actually Anna and Elsa's.
Yeah, they had a boy and they got shipwrecked and lived, which I guess Frozen 2 kind of debunks that a little bit, but it does allude that they may have survived after the ship, right?
I don't know.
Okay, anyway. But
there's like a
feel free to
whole
go down that rabbit hole.
hole.
Do we have to crew? Because there's a lot. There's everything
And
stuff
like
about
Nemo never
Yeah, oh God, don't do that
existed
one. I would highly
or whatever.
recommend
Like
not
it
doing
means
that one.
nobody or no one or something, and like blah blah blah.
Don't do that one. Don't do the Nemo one. But every other one is pretty solid.
The mom, like the Nemo mom, actually ate the babies, not the eel. Yeah.
So I told him not to go down that road, but you just decided to do that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're on to bigger and better things. Bigger and better things being you and I, right? I don't know. We're getting to know each other better, and we are in the we're in the process of finishing up and wrapping up our second round of Let's Get Deep. Em, you want to bring that up there just in case the Do We Have To crew? And again, we have no association with this company called Relatable, who also made a game, What About Meme? But this game is used in Love is Blind. If you ever watch a show, it's on Netflix. It is wonderful. Nick Lachey and his wife host, and they use these cards to kind of use as kind of an icebreaker and initially getting to know you so they can determine if they want to continue dating and possibly lead into marriage. And this has actually been cool because it started out where people were asking Emily and I a bunch of questions, and we didn't quite know how to navigate those waters as far as like, there was just a lot, and we didn't know, like, do we do a show on it or whatever?
Real personal.
Well, and just general questions people want to know. And when you do a podcast, like that's part of the deal. You're going to give information about yourself. But we kind of thought it would be cool to do this because not only is it giving information about us, but we're learning about ourselves too. And there has not been a single card where there isn't something I'm surprised by giving the answer or getting the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today we're tackling, so there's 3 types of cards: icebreaker, deep, and deeper. Today, so deeper is like your final card for the round, right? And today we're tackling deeper. What do we got for deeper today, my love?
I really wanted to put this one back.
Yeah, Emily has a tendency to try to like shuffle through the cards and pick ones out that she feels she'll be most comfortable answering. Yeah, I really try to stop her from doing
that. So this deeper card says, what do you consider cheating? And I'll put it right there so you guys can read it. And
why were you nervous about that one?
Your answers. I wasn't nervous about it.
Do we have a new segment? Do we have to be concerned?
No.
Starring Sean and Emily.
No, I consider cheating anything that's an emotional or physical affair.
Which one do you think's worse?
Emotional.
I agree. And but that's the thing. I think like there is a moment where you make a decision, right? Go ahead. I'm sorry. You just started answering and I started talking over you. Go ahead. You answer.
Physical can happen, I think, really, really quickly.
Like somebody trips and falls on somebody's penis or into the vagina.
Or like somebody misreads something and they get kissed or something like that.
Well, then that wouldn't be cheating by both parties. It would be cheating by one, right? Because that's a different deal, in my opinion. So say you're sitting there and you're talking, you actually truly have given off no indication. You have made no choice inside of you that you're doing anything romantically or emotional or physically inclined. But this person, just because you're being nice to them, and there's plenty of those motherfuckers out there. And I would say that's more guys than girls. Maybe I'm being a dick, but I think it's more guys. Guys can be tricked into thinking strippers love them and waitresses and shit like that are paid to do a service. And they think, oh yeah, they're super into me. And it doesn't matter. There's just a lack of self-awareness. I think us as men tend to have sometimes, or we can create something in our mind that just allows us to hold on more than a woman can, I think.
Okay.
And if they kiss you and you had no intentions of anything, you're not cheating. As soon as you stopped it, as soon as you stopped, if you stopped it immediately, you really think that was cheating?
Yeah.
So somebody could lay a kiss upon you, and you did not know it was coming, and you had no intention of doing it, but you cheated.
I feel like I would have, yeah.
Interesting. I would not. So if anybody wants to put a kiss on me by and I have no intention of doing it, I will not consider it cheating. I'll just tell you to stop.
Okay, well, I would consider it cheating.
I'm totally joking.
But like it takes a mindset to do an emotional affair.
Well, I think either one, the physical or the emotional. I feel like the emotional comes first. I think there's a decision that's made because there's an attraction. Maybe it's just, I just don't know. I just feel like, I guess if it's not just a single encounter, if it's anything more than that, there's an emotional that comes first, and you've made that decision prior. Or you've even made the decision where it's like, I'm on the bench, but if the opportunity ever arose, I could do it. That's cheating, and you may never even actually interact. You may never even flirt with the person. But if it's there in that mind, you made it. It's kind of a micro cheat, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just think
But that's being
emotionally
very hard
it
on
puts
all
you
of us.
emotionally it completely separates you from your partner.
Yeah, I
when
agree.
it's emotional.
It creates a boundary. But I will say, for the people out there that have ever been tempted and they don't do it, you're not a cheater. You did the right thing. Because sometimes you don't control, like, think you can have intrusive thoughts, you can have minds. I didn't want to sound like I was shitting on somebody. It's like, well, if you ever even had a thought, you should feel terrible and you're a cheater. Because God knows there's plenty of fucking social media people and podcast people out there. It's like, if you don't do everything 100% right, you're a terrible person. That's not it. So if you're not doing the things that are splitting your relationships up or your family, and you're doing things right in a healthy way, you're not a cheater.
Right. I just think it's something that like you and your couple have to decide on, like what your boundaries are with it. I don't think there's a right or wrong for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you do have to set up those boundaries. But I mean, I think the fine line, I guess if there was like just a base definition, the fine line is like when you're kind of deciding that you see the possibility of having a relationship with somebody from an emotional perspective, and then the physical is like actual having any type of physical intimacy.
Because like you flirt a lot.
I keep my flirt muscles stretched. There's a huge difference.
You flirt a lot with
I would say
everything that walks.
I was going to say, I would probably say I'm more flirtatious or complimentary of guys than I am of girls. Usually if I'm complimentary of a girl, I am very specific. If I see somebody that's wearing like a shirt that it is very clear, like that seems to be like a favorite shirt or something they're wearing to express themselves. Same thing with hair, color hair. I know you take that as like I'm flirting, but I look at that as like somebody put extra effort into doing that. And I feel like it should be complimented.
I guess. I don't know. But like coming from a person who doesn't flirt with people and married to somebody that flirts with a lot of people, I have told you when I feel like, okay, it's too much. And like there are certain people where you've flirted with that I've like absolutely don't ever
when
do
you
that
tell
again.
me I need to chill out, I do it. I mean, but the intention's never.
The intention
bad.
is never there. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you have the intention to cheat. Yeah. I'm saying that it makes me
I don't want to make you feel bad either. Just because I'm like, hey, I have no intention of doing this doesn't mean it's okay that I disregard your feelings. So I understand.
Right.
Yeah.
I rein you in when I need to for my own benefit.
Yeah, I'm just out there flirting, and eventually, it's like being at Disney or some sort of theme park, and you got a little 4-year-old on a little leash. When Emily knows it's time to pull me back, she just grabs and pulls on that old leash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. But that's why it's more advantageous for me just to compliment the fellas, which they, in this day and age, it's always appreciated. People that work out, people that do those sorts of things, I always make sure and compliment it.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do I comment on an Uncle Jeff's physique? And Uncle Colin.
And awkwardly.
And Uncle Zach.
A large amount.
And Uncle Keith. Quite a bit. Well, that's like the first thing we normally always say to each other. Like, oh, you look great. And I highly recommend. Guys, we need to start building each other up, compliment each other. And you need to compliment the women that are in your life too. Same thing.
Yeah.
No, but I completely agree. That's a good question. And you know what? That's a good question because it does force you to define what cheating is. And if you're going to build an initial relationship with somebody, you have to have those boundaries in place. And to your point, cheating is different to somebody else. So
yeah, because like I've never cheated on somebody in a relationship, but I have been cheated on by everyone but you, and that's a realization. But like I know what it feels like, and to me, I was in the past, I was more okay to forgive the physical, but then when it became physical and emotional, I felt like, well, no, because you're connecting with them in a way that we clearly aren't. And to me, the emotional connection outlives the physical in the first place. So I don't know.
I mean, I think the thing is I don't know. It's just such a weird time we live in because everybody is so frontward facing, but in my opinion, the most like postured way.
Yeah.
And everybody's afraid to say they've done something wrong. But like when I was in high school, even I think my first engagement, I think I made out with somebody else before, it was just cheating. I mean, it's cheating. It is what it is. I've lied. I've cheated. I've stolen. I've broken the law. I've done every wrong, like when I say that, I mean like in a way where I haven't caused, I don't think, damaging harm to anybody or anything. Like I've fucked up. I'm a human being. And the difference is that typically when I make the mistakes, big or small, I try my best to do better.
Right.
And I think that's the difference. I think everybody out there just needs to focus on it's going to happen, whether we're intending it to or not, whether we don't think we're going to get caught or not, it's going to happen. And then you either continue being that person, then you are doing bad person stuff, or do you stop and you take accountability and you move forward? And that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So anyway, that was a great question. Good job. Thank you for not cheating.
Thank you for not cheating.
Oh yeah. Hey, no, I meant thank you for not cheating. I meant thank you for not cheating on the cards. And that played right into it because it was a cheating question. Hell yeah. Look at us. All right. So on to the big subject, on to the big dance, but we can't be going into the big dance unless we have the best dance partner. And when you want the best dance partner for selling real estate and buying real estate,
I love your little intro section.
You have to work with our wonderful Kansas City Kylie. Kansas City Kylie is a realtor in both Missouri and Kansas. She's dedicated in the Kansas City area, but she is both licensed in Missouri and Kansas. She does one hell of a job. If you want somebody that you can trust, that is going to go with you through the buying and the selling process and give you the information you truly need, not just what you want to hear, go with her. You can reach her on Instagram at Kansas City Kylie, or it's kansascitykylie.com. Mm-hmm. And she's about to be featured on, what is this name of the show again?
She's going to help co-host American Dream.
American Dream, which is a docuseries on real estate agents, which is awesome. So congratulations, Miss Kansas City Kylie, and we will make you proud in this next episode or next segment of Do We Have to Talk About It? In-Law Edition.
Yeah.
So in-laws, and I do think this is something that every single relationship, and even if you're not married, like you're meeting parents, you're integrating. Mm-hmm. If you go over a several months mark, at some point you're integrating with other families.
Yeah.
So not only are you trying to navigate the world of relationships with the individual partner and meld two lives together potentially, but then you have to try to do that with everybody else. And that does cause a lot of havoc. Mm-hmm. And guys, instead of just reading a question and just blindly giving our opinion on it, Emily and I did some pretty detailed research. Yeah. The best statistics I found, and I highly recommend, and I use AI. So you use multiple AI because they'll go out to multiple websites. They'll find it. They'll feed it out to you. They'll make sure it's credible sources. And then you can kind of sift through that and then narrow it down. Highly recommend. And I want to make sure that I get as much information as I can for the show as possible.
Yeah.
So I went through BBC News, actually, which is a very credible news source. They did a study on in-laws and the impacts of that on the relationship. You want to hit up the stats? Or I can do that. I'm sorry. I don't know why I just threw that on you when I'm the one who did the research. But the biggest thing is that no matter what we do, in-laws, and I think this means if we're not proactively trying to affirmatively set up boundaries and make sure that we have positive roles within our relationships with each other, especially after having kids, it found that couples with children are 75%. 75%. This is a study in 2023, I believe, more likely to report conflicts with their in-laws compared to childless couples. So likely, as you continue to go down in the progression of your relationship, if children are going to be involved, the expectation is you're going to want to do something proactively to work on those relationships with in-laws, right? Mm-hmm. Also, mother-in-law alert, just as an FYI, they found that in their study, the research suggests that conflicts are often directed towards the mother-in-law, especially by the daughters-in-law. So likely if there's going to be a conflict, if you want to start somewhere first and then move out as you go, it sounds like maybe mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, just making sure that those relationships are healthy and sound and you're being supportive. It's not like you can force your daughter and mother to get along or vice versa, but making sure you're proactively doing everything you can do to harness and support a positive relationship seems to be the direction that the research tells us. Poor relationships with in-laws can significantly strain marriages and relationships. It's that they found with their study, a high percentage of people reporting that it can not only cause marital pressure, but it also was indicated indicated as one of the reasons for divorce. The inability to get the families to get along.
I can totally see that.
You see that?
Absolutely.
I just didn't know it was like a true factor of like, I guess I thought maybe in extreme examples, I just didn't think it would be a general indicator of potentially a reason for divorce.
Well, yeah, because you still want to make your family happy. You still want, like, you still gravitate towards your people.
I think that is something
you know what I mean?
You
like,
still contend to struggle with, no matter how old you are. You want to please your parents.
Right.
Like I have a father downstairs. I don't want him to be disappointed in me when I make mistakes, even though they're going to be fine in the end. Like I know I've disappointed him, and that really bothers me. So you're right. The opinion has a heavier weight to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Common sources of tension. So when they did these studies, they found that the common sources were differing parenting styles, pressure to have children if you don't have children, personality clashes, and disagreements over money, family traditions, etc. So basically just everything to do with life. It sounds like
I can see that too. Because if you have people like, if you have a spouse that refuses to go to your family for a holiday, or, you know, only will do this and only will do that, like that's not fun. That's not enjoyable, because then the whole time that you're there without your spouse, all they're doing is back talking or bad talking your spouse. You know what I mean? Like, it's always a source of contention. So like nobody wins in that.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely very true. And they said it's a big part of it is the role expectations. And I think I agree with this. The biggest piece to it is that in-law conflicts can also stem from differing expectation about roles in the family and the household. Mm-hmm. Meaning that I think most in-laws, I'm sure I'll have this expectation too. I know I will want to play as big a part of lives in their kids and their grandkids' continuation of life as much as they can, because we're winding down, we're sunsetting in life, and they're continuing on, right? And so I think there's a lack of control there, and you want to grab on to what you can. I think it's just human nature. And I think that's probably where a lot of that conflict happens.
Do you feel like it defaults more towards the wife's parents and family, or the husband's parents and family?
I think it can be either or. I don't think it's just the wife. I think
I think we have a really good balance in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. But also I think it was easier for us because we had two sets of parents. Your parents are very like hardworking in the sense they work a lot of hours. And so they're always there to help. However, they have, requirements and, things that will conflict with, they're really good about not being on top of us. And the same, even though dad lives with us, dad's pretty hands off too. And before he lived with us, before he had all of his health issues, dad was off doing whatever. He was like, I talked to him on the phone. He'd be driving to New York in the Jeep, hey, I'm going to go see where your mom used to live. And then I'm going to go down and catch the Red Sox game. And then I'm going to go over to Philadelphia and get a cheesesteak. Then I'll be home a couple weeks. No, easy peasy. We just didn't have to worry about that. Where there's a lot of dynamic is like you're usually relying on parents for daycare, or you're relying on that. And they're there every day, every week. And all of a sudden, when you ask for that, there is and I don't disagree with this, there's an expectation of having a little bit more say in certain areas. I mean, I think that's just a natural way of things. But that's where we have to come together and have healthy boundaries of what these relationship dynamics are going to mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's jump into if you're good with it, Em, you want to jump into the question? Because this is an interesting one just because it really doesn't apply to a lot of what we talk about. That's just general shit, right? This is like a very specific where, in my opinion, I think this is going to cause a reaction from a lot of people. I think some people are going to get some extreme vibes about it. I don't think it's as bad as what it is, but I do think that it's not good. And I think the fact that there is clearly some issues with addressing it identify probably what the average couple is dealing with when it comes to dealing with in-laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
So this one comes to us from Brent. It doesn't really say where he's from. And I couldn't get it from the email either. But his message goes, yesterday was eventful at my home when my in-laws visited, and my 7-year-old was enjoying a melting vanilla ice cream. While she was having a delightful time, my father-in-law unexpectedly remarked, "Wow, you're going to make your future boyfriend real happy." I found this comment inappropriate given her age. I was in another room when this occurred, and my wife and mother-in-law promptly addressed his comment, but he continued to joke. I felt compelled to intervene and express that his remark was out of line before leaving the room. To complicate matters, he later inquired if my wife thought I was upset, avoiding addressing me directly. This morning, my wife received messages from her parents with her mother expressing anger towards him. He asserts his comment was related to her table manners, which seems disingenuous. Why even mention a future boyfriend? I checked in with my wife about her parents, and she mentioned they are fine. However, I am not. I reminded her of his previous remarks, and she reacted by putting her head in her hands and leaving the room. Now I feel like the antagonist in the situation. Am I? What should I do? So honestly, I feel like if they're not going to talk to you directly and you've tried, then there's really...
What would you say he tried, though? He made a comment and walked out of the room. I see. It's so easy. Here's the thing. I'm not defending
the
this dad.
responsibility is not on the wife to
No, it's
say
not. That's what I'm
anything
saying.
else
So
because she clearly stated what she wanted to.
My point is that he made a comment and left. So, hey, this is not okay. Boom, leave. You're not trying to come to a resolution. You're upset and you're just getting your anger out and you're saying you did something wrong, right? What's going to happen then? He's going to be defensive, right? And I'm saying, guys,
Well, both parties are defensive now.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, and I'm one to get angry first. So likely what would happen in that situation is exactly what that guy did. So I'm not talking about this, but this is about, hey, how can you do it better, right? Or so if I were knowing the anxiety in me after I did something like that, I would have immediately thought I should have just sat down and talked to him and said, hey, I know these comments can come out like it's a fucked comment because you're talking about your granddaughter doing something inappropriate with somebody. And there's just no, like when you say there's no way out of that. No. So it might have this, and here's the thing, shit pops up in your head all the time. It's okay. That's human nature. That's scientifically proven. And when you say something out loud like that, number one, you need to think before you speak. But it does happen. Then you just need to take accountability and be like, I am sorry. It is, you know what I mean? And like, but now it's like you put yourself in line for you open yourself up, I guess, for a lot of like inquiry of like, why would you ever say something like that? What's wrong
and then
with
to
you?
Backpedal and say that it was about table manners.
Because he's embarrassed.
Come on, like nobody
I think
actually believes that.
Well,
though.
I agree, but I'm just saying that's
obviously
he just threw something out really quick without thinking about it. I don't think he's a pedophile or anything.
No.
I think he's an idiot. And I say that as being an idiot. I'll rifle off and say nothing. I've thankfully not said anything like that yet. But have any one of us ever made some sort of inappropriate joke or gesture? Not necessarily.
Like it sounds funny in your head, but then it's not funny when it comes out.
Just because it's not a child, if there's another human being, and you make a joke that makes them feel comfortable, guess what? You're in the same spot as this guy, right? We've all done it. So that's my point. Is that you fucked up. So, but there's the two areas, right? Quick comment, walk away, just leave it up to everybody else's devices to resolve it. Like we as men, if we want to see it, we need to be hard on the problem, not on the person. We were just hard on the person there, kind of walked away from the overall problem. Yeah. Right. Emily and I talked about being hard on the problem, not on the person a lot in the last one. I think that's probably the key. And again, that would not have been my first reaction, but now, we get to do the research. We get to be armchair quarterback on these types of scenarios. I think that's the best way to handle it. And that's what will go through my mind if I ever run into one of those situations.
And like you and your partner need to come up with a solution together. Like you guys have to be on the same team about it.
And again,
because she's going to defend her dad and
because she knows
try to defend you. And then she's the one that's stuck in the middle. And that's not fair to her.
Right. Well, she grew up with her dad. So my assumption is that it sounds like she had a normal upbringing where, maybe the dad being dumb sometimes, and sounds like the mom and her have had to potentially be like, hey, knock it off. Don't say that. Like he'll just say things that crop up in the old skull, but it doesn't sound like he's caused her harm in the way that type of comment triggered anything in her. So it's likely you don't have anything serious to worry about, but you do have a boundary issue, and that there needs to be something that's addressed where you guys aren't, hey, we're not comfortable with that. We don't want to have that conversation come up again. Mm-hmm. So if it comes to anything, we don't want any comments about our daughter in that type of light, in general from anybody. And it's not just you. We have respect for you. It's just, there's no good that come out of that. Right. No. You know what I mean? And you just have to have the conversation. But like the other problem is that he's given his wife grief about it, and he's upset because the dad doesn't want to talk to him. Well, it's like, well, if you're mad at him and then you walk away, why would you expect there to be some sort of respect of like how you guys interact? It doesn't sound like you guys are being very respectful to each other anyway. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And
it sounds like there's
your,
already been like a rift before.
Mm-hmm. It's not, I'm sure this is not exactly what he was expecting for a response, but it's not your wife's fault either. Like, it sounded like she addressed it right then. It sounded like the mom addressed it then, even though I understand he may have made some more comments. We didn't specify what those were. So I wouldn't think that they were the same thing. It was probably more of backtracking,
right?
Which probably upset you more. And I get it. But if he wasn't doubling down on it and he was trying to backpedal, at least then he knew he was doing something wrong. That's a start. You know what I mean? And you guys have to have this conversation. You need to stop being hard on your wife and again, be hard on the problem.
Yeah.
And I think it can just be addressed one more time in a conversation. And guess what? Every party didn't handle that well because no party ended it with a resolution. So if you don't have to apologize, but like everybody can take accountability and like, oh, hey, us as a team, as a group here, we did not handle that very well. Here's how we felt about it. I understand you're saying it. You didn't mean it like that. It just came off that way. And that's how it sounds. That's the optics. If we could in the future avoid associating eating food and significant others, like that's probably a pretty easy one to avoid going forward, right? It's an easy low hanging fruit fix. But if you let it fester, that can cause issues. See how where it falls?
There's going to be like
resentment. My wife, I'm pissed at him.
Yeah.
I don't like that, the mother-in-law can't keep him in line. Like I'm just upset. And that's just going to feed and feed and feed that fire. And all of a sudden you're fighting about things that have nothing to do with it. And it all stems from that inability to come to resolution.
Well, you're going to find every little thing to nag about after that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. But to your point, you have something to be upset about. Like,
yes. Rightfully so. Nobody should ever say that.
Your initial reaction to being defensive of your child is absolutely fine. It's just what's the goal? Mm-hmm. The goal is your wife can't stop having a mom and a dad.
No.
You love your wife. You
don't
love your
want
child.
your children to not have their grandparents.
The goal is you want to all have the best relationship. It's just hard when you feel personally attacked. And when it's your daughter, you're going to take personal feelings in with that.
As you should.
It, but we have to be able to rise above that. That's the beauty of being a human being. We do have the ability to detach ourselves from emotion and be able to have logical, stoic conversations that lead to better results.
Well, you just have to be able to go into the next situation with a clear boundary. And all that takes is a quick phone call. Like, hey, like, we're not going to discuss this. We're not going to do that. Like,
and to my point again, guys, I guarantee that married couple have said something inappropriate to somebody before. Mm-hmm. How would you want to be treated if you did the same thing? And then work towards resolution. It's a whole nother thing if then when you have these calm conversations and you're being supportive to have a better outcome and a better relationship, if that's the goal, then if they start continuing being defensive and refuse to change in any way, well, then you got a decision to make. And then, there is possibilities of certain types of relationships or aspects of that relationship ending. Doesn't mean you don't talk to them or anything.
Right.
But then you can tell that that's going to be a problem going forward and they're not willing to meet you halfway or see where you're coming from. Well, that's a problem. But none of that's happening.
Well, and if it does become a pattern of behavior or it is a pattern of behavior, then it's a conversation that needs to have like, well, if we're going to be doing this, like you can't be, like you might have to set the boundary of like, well, we're not going to bring, I don't want to say take the kid away, but like we're not going to have.
Well, no, but that's my point though. But you have to have that conversation first. If you just blow it off and you're just pissed at him, you're not setting up any type of boundary. You just got mad. And he's like, well, I guess he's mad at me because I said A. Well, he might think the other 5 comments that popped up in his mind while he was thinking about that were fine.
Yeah.
And he should have gone with one of those. And then he's going to say it at the next family hangout. And then you're going to be even more pissed. And you're like, oh, it's a continuation. No, it's his frame of reference of what he thinks is okay to say and is not. You have to give him your frame of reference. If you don't, if your response is, I don't like that, you did something wrong, bye. And then, hey, wife, your dad's being a dickhead. He needs to stop doing that. What are we going to get out of that?
Nothing.
Just
more contention.
So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times we get these questions in, and guys, they're valid. You're like, your feelings are valid. How you feel are valid.
Yeah.
But we all.
I would have been pissed if somebody said that about my kid.
Yeah, but we all make mistakes, and we probably would have overreacted to it, and it would have been wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So again, difference from most fucking social media people, whatever. We're likely going to do it Emily and I are likely going to do it wrong first, and we're going to figure it out. And then after that, we'll do it a little bit better. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. And then it's a continuation of that. You can't get that learning engine started between you and your in-laws of like, okay, this is life of how I deal with my son-in-law. Like, we're going to sit down and we're going to have a conversation about it. So now all of a sudden I'm being mindful about just in general how I'm communicating, because I know it's not going to be anything bad, but it is going to be something he's going to seek out to come to a resolution for. And now all of a sudden now I'm thinking more empathetically about how I'm interacting with my family.
But you
it's
shouldn't
just as much
put
our responsibility.
The wife in the middle.
Yeah, I know. No, we said that. That's my point. My point is that the two women addressed it, right? Mm-hmm. And I do think the wife, though, needed to be supportive. Hey, come back, sit down, come back, Brent, sit down and let's have a conversation really quick, because it wasn't as bad as how it sounded, but it wasn't good. Right. And like we need to make sure it's not okay.
Like because he also stated he wasn't in the room, he could have heard it out of a different context.
I mean, it's not a good comment regardless.
No, I'm just saying there's 1,000 other
Grandpa, you fucked up here.
Yeah.
And so but sitting down and having a calm conversation, he's going to come to that realization a lot better, as opposed to, I just don't want him to be mad anymore because I don't want to have to deal with tension. That's a whole, like, the goal is completely different when it comes to that. A lot of people just don't want you to be mad at them. Well, that doesn't mean they want to be better or do better by you. It just means they don't want you mad at them. That's it. So whatever they need to do or tell you. So if you want real conflict resolution, which is what we all ultimately, that's what makes life better for us. I know we like to avoid conflict, but you need to actually have healthy conflict resolution. Yeah, there is conflict, but it's done in a healthy manner, right?
I don't really know anybody that likes conflict.
No, we try to avoid it like the plague, but that's where our problems keep growing and they don't start declining.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing our marriage podcast, because that's a majority of our marriage, how we handle things. How'd that do for us?
Yeah, we didn't.
Not fucking good. Like listen to the last couple episodes. You want to go down that breadcrumb trail, and feel free to ask us any questions about it. DoWeHaveTo.com, and continue to submit your questions to the show as well, guys. It's great because, even though you can ask us about anything, there tends to be themes in almost all the questions we get. So it's just, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. Like, you're not the only person that's had run in with their in-laws saying something they shouldn't have said.
No.
We use this one specifically because Brent was kind enough, and thank you, Brent, for sharing, like, to be vulnerable. Like, here I'm talking about your life in a way that is, in my opinion, can be kind of dickish because it's judgmental, but you're sending a question in and get our opinion on it. So this is our opinion, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fact that you were able to be vulnerable and give us information about your, like, kudos to you. And that just says right there that you're interested in trying to figure out how to solve the problem, but you want it from a third party, so ultimately whether you're right or wrong, right? And some of that you were right. It's just, if you want to have the ultimate experience of doing everything to where it can have the most optimal outcome, there's just some things to change in how you interact, and it's okay that you didn't do it the first time.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes. Like, we're going to continue to make mistakes. That is okay. Like, I just wish everybody, if you ever listen to our show, when you start hearing us talk and when you end hearing us talk, say in your mind, I fuck up all the time, and it's okay. I'm listening to two very imperfect people talk about their lives, and look, they make mistakes all the time. And
every day.
Yeah. But the benefit is that we can tell you, if you have the attitude where you're going to fix it in the sense of, like, you're going to make corrections to the negative and then you're going to move forward, that's where you're going to be a successful person, no matter what you did or what's happened. So again, Brent, thank you so much for your comments, and we greatly appreciate it. And send us any follow-up if you have any follow-up questions on that. And again, guys, DoWeHaveTo.com, submit a question to the show. Thank you so much. Yeah. And that's going to pretty much wrap up today's show. And thank you, everybody, for popping in, listening, get some good in-law discussion in. And thank you, BBC News, for the wonderful statistics that we got today. Mm-hmm. What was the name of the AI Colin gave us that helped me with? That wasn't it. It was Mantis or ChatGPT. I can't remember which one I actually used. But anyway, thank you, AI. You're very useful. So that's good. I highly recommend to anybody who's afraid of AI. It can be a very useful tool for efficiency. But make sure you subscribe, to keep up to date on everything. Yep. Share our shorts as well as our podcast, which our main home for your podcast viewing is YouTube. Of course, we're available on all other major podcast outlets where you can listen to the audio. But if you want our video, it's here on YouTube at what is our YouTube handle? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's at Do We Have To, a marriage podcast.
Perfect.
The website is dowehavto.com. Instagram, Facebook, and Threads is at do.we.have.to. X is at Do We Have To Pod. And then TikTok is at Do We Have To, a marriage pod. And then you can also follow Sean and I on Peloton. Peloton is also not a sponsor. If you would like to be Peloton, I'm all here for it.
Absolutely. We have a team.
We do have a team, and
Join our team.
Find us. You can follow Sean at Do We Have To Pod KC, or you can follow me at Emily_in_KC. And our team name is #Do We Have To Crew. We do weekly challenges.
Last week, we actually, our whole team together, we've grown. Like there was 3 of us. I think it was us and Michaela first, which Michaela has been the reigning champion until this past week, actually.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Michaela. I mean, she still finished second, so it's not like she went downhill or anything like that. Michaela's a beast.
Yeah.
Michaela Bryan. But we worked out as a team, 18 of us worked out 43 hours last week. We have a full month-long challenge going on, so you can jump in. It'll move your stats over if you join our team, but it's a full month-long challenge of completing the most workouts. And right now, our wonderful UK Peloton team member, Krabby Cakes, which I love that name, is well in the lead.
Yeah.
So
UK's
come take her on.
butt.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then
I'm at the very bottom of that.
Love that. So yeah, guys,
challenge.
make sure and reach out to us on our socials. Come join our Peloton team. And again, thank you guys so much for supporting the show and watching us. And thank you for allowing Emily and I to tell us your story, or tell you our story. Just remember, relationships are a marathon. They're not a sprint.
Right.
Be patient with yourself, but be patient with others. Go home. Hug your friends, hug your partners, be kind to one another. Don't be an asshole. I love you, Rosebud.
Wake up, I'm about to shake up every little thing, show you all that we can be. Come dance in my club.